Hi everyone, let's talk about how to set up your chemistry notebook for the year. These are a couple of examples from previous years, just to give you a rough idea of what they look like. I'm going to show you one that I've got kind of going as a teacher example. This is a 100-page notebook, and 100 pages will start looking like that. After years worth of tape and stuff in, it can look more like that. So you want to make sure to keep track of everything. So what you're going to do when you set this up is set up a table of contents. Even before that, make sure you got your name and write chemistry on there so that you know which notebook is which, so that you don't actually bring your English notebook to chemistry class. So once you've got your name and the subject on there, and here's my example, no name because it's the example, but there's the subject, you can open up and set up the table of contents. The table of contents would be the first available page. It's got the word table of contents. You're going to write that across the top. It's going to be the first available page in here. You'll divide it in half. Reason why: you need to get the most out of your notebook. So notice here they divide it in half, and that'll allow them to start by writing what's on pages 1 through 3, and then 4, and then 5, and so on and so on. And then when that was full, they continued on here, and so on and so on. And then when that was full, they continued on to the next page, and you get the idea. This student didn't do that at first and then quickly realized he was going to run out of space, which is why all the portions after that follow that format of divide it in half so that he can fill this part, and then this part, and then this part, and so on. Okay, so you want to set up your table of contents and number this page 1. And before you do anything further, if you're going to write what goes on which page, you need to have your pages labeled. So set up your table of contents, pause until it's done, and then start playing this video again so that I can just mention your page numbering. Here's going to do that next. The front of each page is numbered, and the back of each page also has a number because they're using each sheet of paper on both sides. So page 1, page 2, page 3, page 4, 5, you see the examples I set up, 6, so on and so on. Go through page 20 and pause this video if you need to while you're getting it all numbered up. But you'll see 2 13s because there's something taped onto there. But point is, get these pages all numbered up all the way through about 20 or so, and pause this video, and then when you're done with that, I'll give you further instructions. Okay, so you should at this point have numbered your pages all the way through 20. You got this all set up. Now you are going to be filling this stuff in there. Don't use what was shown in the previous year's notebooks. It's slightly different. So you're putting this information here. And then when you fill this column, you'll eventually continue on to here, and then on to the next page, and so on and so forth. Pause as you copy this onto here. This is posted to Google Classroom, by the way. All right, so anyway, once you fill this out, the next thing comes to, putting things in the right place. Table of contents goes for the first 3 pages, so that's why I've left the first 3 pages blank on here. I'd recommend you do the same. You can maybe divide it in half if you really want. And then page 4 is the 10 Habits of Successful Students. Before I go any further, let's talk about how to tape stuff in. 10 Habits of Successful Students is a double-sided handout. Notice the way I taped it in was I put tape on the side so I can flip it over like a page in a book. Do not tape on the top. Do not tape on the bottom. Tape only on the side for a double-sided handout. Always tape on the side for a double-sided handout. That way you can read both sides right side up. If it's a single-sided handout, and I'm going to skip ahead to a single-sided one, then it doesn't really matter so much. So for this one, I just put tape just to make sure it stays. That's it. For a double-sided full-page handout, yes, you will tape on the side. Now, in order to make sure the tape doesn't get stuck in the spirals, I put the tape here on the outside. That's why it does this. This was page 6. I put a 6 here also just to make it obviously page 6. But I put tape there. And by the way, I used 2 small pieces of tape and not a big one because I don't want to waste tape. So actually, take it back. 3 small pieces of tape were used to hold this in place. That way I can flip it over, see both sides, fold it in, and move on. For a single-sided full sheet of paper, you can either, it doesn't really matter because you just want to tape down, so you can put tape, wrap it around the top, or you can roll tape and then put it underneath so it stays, whatever. Just make sure that it's securely attached if it's a single-sided full sheet. Here's another single-sided half sheet. Notice I just taped it in a way that makes it stay. All right, last thing to mention, If it's a double-sided half sheet, and here's a couple double-sided half sheets, it doesn't matter which side you tape on. This is taped on the left side. This is taped on the right side. As long as it's easy to follow, you're fine. Final thing to mention, you will have sometimes like labs where it's a staple packet like this. Page 13, where it's supposed to go, leaves it like this. If I put tape on the outside, it kind of seals it shut so that you can't really open it, and that's a problem because you need to reference these. So I did put tape on the inside by the spirals, but very carefully so it wouldn't get stuck in the spirals. And then I flip the whole packet over and put a couple pieces of tape here to make sure it stays. That way I can flip through the pages like the pages of a book, and it's taped to page 13. And I put a little 13 there to remind myself, even though you can see the 13 there and the 13 there. Okay, so that's how it goes. So just a quick overview of what goes on what page, because there's these, but I just want to make sure you know what each of these handouts looks like. Table of contents, page 1 through 3, we got it. Page 4, 10 habits of successful students. Page 5, equipment description sheet, double-sided. 10 habits of successful students, also double-sided. Page 6, classroom policies for chemistry, double-sided. Page 7, the homework checklist, double-sided, or sorry, single-sided. Page 8, unit conversion chart, single-sided. Page 9, periodic table, single-sided. Page 10, elements of the periodic table, or what your thing calls list and worksheet elements to memorize, double-sided. Page 11, list and worksheet polyatomic ions to memorize, double-sided. Page 12, safety contract, double-sided. Page 13, safety packet, double-sided, and taped in a way to ensure that all pages are visible. Page 14 will involve the notes number 1 handout, but I haven't taped it here yet because at the time of this filming, we haven't done those notes, or those notes haven't been due yet. So whenever it comes to things like a set of notes where you know you're going to be turning it into class, or like this worksheet, or this lab, if they've not been done yet, don't take them in until after you've turned them in and gotten a grade for them. Because although this example worksheet on page 13 is blank, a student would be taping this in because at time of filming, this was already complete, and they already got credit, so they're taping in what they already got credit for. If it was not yet completed, obviously this should not be taped in until the assignment's complete and checked off. All right, hopefully that answers all questions. Make it pretty.